Welcome back to the Lost Cause Ranch. And with the title of the video, the oddly empty shop, and the car wash in the picture now, you've probably guessed it, but today is the last day at the original ranch. That is right. We sold the ranch. Today's a little bit of a happy, little bit of a sad day. I guess that's what the term bittersweet is for. Sad to see it go, but super excited about the future and what taking care of the ranch, along with building that shop, has taught me, which will come in handy for the next chapter. We'll get into why the ranch is no more a little bit later. But let's take a quick look back at some of the fun we had at the ranch, including building the shop, busting some trails, clearing some trees. We got the supervisor back on site. She's not too happy about the string line though. Some days, I wish I was a dog. She doesn't have to worry about doing dumb stuff like this and just gets to lounge around and watch. I think she's also given up on being the safety supervisor for the logging business. I'm wearing gloves and glasses though. The safety glasses are protecting my hat pretty well.
More than that one. Still scared Tyler. I'm gonna drop the poop.
Asha found a root to chew on. See, it's nice when it's still in the ground. You don't have to hold on to it. Oh, hey there. Welcome to the Lost Cause Ranch. Today, we make some good progress on the security of the old Lost Cause Ranch Land Rover shop. I mean, I guess security is still lacking. When they told me I had to put bar in my shop, this isn't exactly what I had in mind. Not working out the way I wanted it to. Oh, she rolls great! But for now, what we call home is the good old car wash. And with 20 years in business and 8 years spent at the ranch, we collected a lot of stuff, and we spent the last 20 days or so giving the poor budget LR4 quite the workout, moving all my junk. And as you can see, there's a lot of it. And we got quite the disaster going on. Today's video is going to be a bit segmented because that's the way my brain has been for the last month. But we're going to hop around, and to get this mess organized, the first thing we got to do is tackle this side. Man. I forgot how frickin' much I like the 944. First part of taming the chaos is organizing a layout of all the metal fab stuff. Like I said in the first video, eventually this raised section of concrete that is on both sides of the old automatic bay will be removed so the floor is even all the way across. But the first thing I need to do is figure out if we can even fit everything in here. And it's looking pretty promising. We got most of the metalworking stuff along one wall, which makes sense because this wall is the same length as underneath the mezzanine at the old shop. Air compressor is going to go in that corner. We just have to find a home for the plasma and the laser. And you know, make sure we have room for a couple other pieces of machinery. And with the metal fab side somewhat laid out, we were able to start tackling, getting a wrangle on the mess I created by just tossing all my stuff into this side. Tell you the truth, I'm actually impressed. We got everything I own into this building, but we'll take a look at that a little bit later. Let's have a little chat about why on earth I would ever get rid of the original ranch. I own the ranch for about 8 years, and many of you came along the journey of building my little dream shop at the ranch, and it really was a dream slice of property. At nearly 11 acres, mostly wooded, very hilly, and 5 minutes from town. You know, when you start laying it out like that, who in their frickin' right mind would sell that? Well, that person is me, obviously, and it all comes down to future goals. While I love the ranch, there is a lot of stuff coming up on the horizon, and taking care of 11 wooded acres is pretty time consuming, along with the fact that Jamie has a house of her own, and we were splitting time between both houses. And if any of you have ever been in the position where you and your significant other own separate houses, that can become stressful in a financial and even more stressful in a time aspect. We've been discussing how to handle that situation for a couple years now, and along came this little car wash, which is conveniently located a couple blocks from Jamie's house. With it fitting the bill of being big enough for me to work out of, in the right budget, and more importantly, odd enough that I think we can do something cool with it, we took it as a sign to jump on this, make the move. While the ranch was an awesome property, it was never what I ultimately wanted. 11 acres is a good chunk of property, but I, like everyone else, would like more. And with this car wash coming up and the housing market being relatively strong in our area, the transition from the ranch to here allowed me to purchase this outright. There's no longer a mortgage coming out every month. And on top of that, it left a chunk of change for a down payment on the future Lost Cause Ranch. Ultimate goal is to own enough property to build our own little trail system, along with taking the knowledge from building the Land Rover Dream Shop and putting ourselves together a shop that is more appropriately sized for my hoarding abilities. You see, down the line, what I'd like to do is be able to host a yearly Land Rover event on the property that we own ourselves. And doing all this property juggling is kind of my best path to making that happen. Plus, when all that shakes out, we will have a paid-for shop to rent out. No real time frame on anything, but now we're sitting in a good position. When the right property pops up, we can jump on it without having to do the whole sell my house to be able to close on the next one. It can just happen at its own pace. And we just had a special delivery show up. This is quite possibly the coolest packaging I've ever seen. Pun intended. But no, the label is thrown right on top of the Menards cooler, and that might just give you a hint as to what's inside. So on our first video on the car wash, one of you guys gave us the first super thanks I've ever gotten. And that came from Pavel, but it was much appreciated, and I honestly didn't even know that was a thing. And like I told him, we were gonna take that money and get us something cool for our little Rover bunker. So I've been cruising eBay for a little bit for the perfect little thing to have hanging out in the Rover bunker. Wasn't expecting it to come in such a cool cooler. And what we have is our very own frickin' Menards store that gets to hang out here at the Lost Cause Ranch. Now the store is gonna stay here in the bunker, but this just may show up at a Rover event near you. But now that everything's settled down, Chet and I just made the trip to go pick up that guy. I've always just borrowed Ted's trailers, but I figured it was about time to go get something a tad bit more LR4 sized. This is just gonna be a lighter weight one. That makes a little more sense to tow with the LR4. The deck right now is 14 feet, but the nice thing in our case is the fact that it is a full 7 foot wide in between the fenders. And it is quite the deal. It has a brand new winch, brand new deep cycle battery, and a brand new set of tow straps that came with it. Just can't freaking beat it. But if we take something like the 109, this is a tad bit shorter than I want it to be, so I think I'm gonna chop the dovetail, beaver tail, whatever that tail is called. We're gonna extend that out a little bit. That'll allow us to shift stuff back and not have so much tongue weight up front. It'll end up being about a 16-foot trailer. And in other brilliant acquisitions made by Joe this week, a Maserati. Like I always say, I'm my own worst enemy, but I just can't help myself. When you're in Iowa and there happens to be a Maserati at the local tow yard's impound auction, you just can't not buy it when it's only $1,200. I mean, who doesn't want themselves a 4.7 liter Ferrari derived V8? Ultimately, this thing's gonna disappear quick. It's gonna get parted out. And I think the engine may stay around. You know, my hoarding problem. And the workshop side is starting to come together, and we're slowly chipping away at getting everything in its place. It's nice to have the LS Defender sitting inside here. And we're getting all our tools laid back out and freeing up a little more room. I'm currently on the hunt for a 40-foot shipping container to place outside, and these shelves will go away with all the contents, right along with the shelves on this side as well. I, like everyone else, always seems to end up with a shop that is smaller than my needs. The way to make that work is to have the clutter gone. Yeah, out of sight, out of mind. Oh, that's lighter than I thought. All sorts of random stuff happening this week. Just had a friend drop off a new garage door opener. Power garage door. I don't know if we can handle that type of fancy at the Lost Cause. And now that things are settled down, we can get back to getting the dusty little Freelander back on the road. I mean, the Rover Ball is only a little over a month away, which means the Freelander's got to drive like 6,000 frickin' miles shortly. And if you haven't caught what that is, Justin from Lucky 8 kind of organized a little cannonball run. Not of the speed variety, more of the endurance. In June, we're going to run from New York to LA. He's taking his Freelander, I'm taking mine. Be some other people driving some other Land Rovers, and hopefully a little 3-door makes it. And all the random ideas that Justin has going on is kind of why we had to get rid of the ranch this year. Who has time to take care of a property when you're driving across country in a Freelander? We could be out there for a frickin' month. With that being said, I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys all following along over the last few years. It has been a tremendous joy making all these videos and having you guys follow along with the Rover builds, the shop build. And I hope you stick around. It's only getting better from here. Me and whose childhood dream wasn't to own a car wash that didn't wash cars.